Now going down the east coast of the South Island on our way to Christchurch, but we dock, or rather anchor, at Akarua as Christchurch Harbour is unusable because of the earthquake, recent earthquake. So instead of getting off the boat by gangplank, we had to tender to the shore. And here we are, getting on the tender, enjoying the 15-minute ride to Akarua. Akarua is a small town and was originally a French settlement. Now on shore, we are ready to start our tour to the Botanic Gardens and have the Antarctic experience in Christchurch. Our bus driver talked for the whole of the 90-minute journey, but he was interesting, and the trip took us over a pass with a lot of S-bends, and then down into the plain, and finally we come to Christchurch. The first thing we saw when arriving at the Botanics was an ad for the art of Jeff Thompson, corrugations. We didn't know his fame had spread so far. We then had a cup of coffee and went to the toilet. By the time we'd done that, there wasn't a lot of time to see the rest of the garden, which was lovely, and I wish we could have seen more. Like Edinburgh, Christchurch has its trams for the tourists. And then we see a lot of buildings with scaffolding on them because recently they had a bad earthquake. And now we're at the International Antarctic Centre and asked to board one of these vehicles, a Hägglund, made in Sweden and designed for travel in the Antarctic. It's very cramped and very noisy, but as you will see, obviously capable of dealing with most types of terrain. This is the main airbase that supplies the McMurdo, Scott and the Italian bases in Antarctica. And now we're back on the bus and on our way back to
the big open again full of yachts.
And finally back in the village of Akarua, and there's our boat waiting for us. And we're off to Stewart Island. Stewart Island is the southernmost island in New Zealand, and as we arrived at 7:30 in the morning it was fairly gloomy, but by the time we got onto our tenders to go ashore it had cleared up a bit, and we are now waiting along with many other passengers to get on the tender. There are quite a lot of them waiting to go. A 10-minute ride on the tender took us into Oban, which is the only settlement and has about 400 people living there. The whole town is very Scottish, as you will see. As we look back, there is the Pacific Pearl in the bay. First thing you see is the Piggly Wiggly, the supermarket, the police station, and then we decided to go for a walk along Dundee Street. This took us to a trail which was a well-maintained path lined with ferns and lovely trees and bushes. We're going up to an observation point and taking pictures of the flora and fauna on the way. We had thought of going on a tour around the 70 miles of road on the island, but when we asked, everything was fully booked, completely booked. This is Patterson Inlet, which is 10 miles long. We could have done it on it by boat, but we didn't. It's rather lovely, and it's a beautiful day. It's hard to get breakfast anyway.
You think that would be true? That's a lot. We didn't really tiny, tiny time to walk around. That's what I said to the lady. We go, what are you going to do? Yeah.
So instead, we had taken this very pleasant walk, and on the way back we saw our ship in the bay and the rugby pitch. Hungry now, we make for the South Sea Hotel, where we had booked a table for lunch, fortunately. And we both have Blue Cod, which is the recommended dish for the area, and a bottle of the local hotel wine, which was good. We spend a few minutes at the Rakura Museum, and then it's back to the ship and on to Fiordland National Park. Today we are touring the west coast of the South Island by ship, and at 7:45 we enter Dusky Sound. We are up out on the deck taking photographs. The island you see is Resolution Island, named by Captain Cook, and although not spectacular, the sound was beautiful, and unfortunately, because it was a dull, cloudy day, we didn't get a full view of the mountains. There were a few waterfalls, and having spent 90 minutes, we then exited by Break Sea Sound to the open sea again. But after breakfast, another sound, Doubtful Sound, named again by Captain Cook, because he thought if he went up there with the weather the way it was, he wouldn't be able to get out again. However, our captain didn't worry about that. On our left, you can see on the right actually, is Secretary Island. Like Dusky Sound, it was wooded and also quite lovely, but again, not very nice weather, and we didn't see it at its best perhaps. The mountain in the distance is Commander Peak, which is one of the higher ones in the area. Both Dusky and Doubtful Sound are very remote, so there are very few boats around, and we didn't see many animals or any sort of creatures, including birds. We are now leaving Doubtful Sound by Thompson Sound. I assume there must have been somebody on Captain Cook's boat called Thompson. After lunch and a nap, and we almost missed Milford Sound, which was undoubtedly the most spectacular, but unfortunately it was misty and pouring with rain. As somebody said, if it wasn't pouring with rain, we wouldn't see all these spectacular waterfalls.
Was there? So maybe I think the fire was quite off the Stewart Island. Because you have to have the fire.
Oh, absolutely. It's a museum full, isn't it?
Pretty spectacular waterfall there. All the little fingers. The towering cliffs made the falls most spectacular. It was a very spectacular. There were a number of lobster boats and tourist boats in the Sound, and of course it's quite close to civilization, unlike the others. We spent a lot of time on deck, and the wind was very strong, as you can see from the flags, and wet, as you can see from our dress. However, Captain Goshroy managed to get us in and out of Milford Sound and back into the open sea. So at sea, it's a day to relax and It's not very nice. The weather is dull and cloudy, but the sea is calm, although Goshroy told us it was going to be rough. Well, at least we can exercise and can't do anything else, so it's either inside or outside. Looks a bit like Scotland, the way we're dressed.
Come on, Paul! Paul! Oh! It's very close.
We just watched the cruise tug of war competition, can't remember who won. Then it's time for a little relaxation and a quiet dinner, and then off to the bar to hear our favorite band.
It's because I love you most of all.
We did manage a few hours sleep before getting up to take this picture as we arrived at Picton. Oh, they got one rope. They didn't know what to do with it. Tied up alongside us were two inter-island ferries that go across to the North Island, Wellington. And all around, we're surrounded by hills. So where are the vines? This is the wine. A hearty breakfast before we set off on a bus into town. Once in town, we have a cup of coffee and then decides to take a tour of the wine country, perhaps by taxi. But we are told there are no taxis in the town at all, and that there are only two places left on a bus for a tour. We snap those up and discover when we get on the bus that it is 3/4 empty, and that the price in fact is 1/3 less than we would have paid if we'd had the same tour from the boat. So we're happy. And we arrive at the wine country and at a resort. It's lunchtime, but we turn down the soup of the day, and instead we have a wine tasting at Whitehaven, which is part of the resort. Very nice. It's on to Hunter's wines. Now the Sauvignon Blancs are excellent, but the red wines are pretty weak. But I did like the Whitehaven better. The driver, by special request, takes us past Cloudy Bay, but we can't get in because we don't have a reservation. And then it's on to the chocolate factory, where they, of course, make chocolates and other things. Then back to the boat. The Picton Harbour is very busy, so we watch it from our balcony. A pretty town, but not the biggest in the area. Blenheim is far bigger. We weigh anchor for the last time, and it's off up the Charlotte Sounds, which of course named by Captain Cook. And they are reputed, and were, very pretty indeed. And we're passing one of the island ferries on its way in, and it was a beautiful evening. In the distance is Cape Jackson, again named by Captain Cook. Now we're off into the Cook Straits. Our final day at sea, and it's calm, and we're going up the east coast of the North Island, and you can see the coast in the distance. And here is the final offering from the stewards. It's early morning as we arrive in Auckland, as we're off the boat by 8 o'clock. A final view of the ship as we take our bags to the bus so that we can go to the airport, Air New Zealand to Sydney, and that's the end of the cruise.